I spent over $65,000 to work with Alex Hormozi one-on-one, and I pivoted my entire business after just one conversation. In this video, I'm going to break down everything, what we spoke about, what I learned, how we're going to implement it, and how I ended up in a position to fly from London to Vegas to be able to get coaching from Alex Hormozi after following him for the last few years. Just to recap exactly where this has come about. If you've not heard of Alex Hormozi, he's an entrepreneur who's worth over $100 million, but what he actually does is he's able to teach high-level business tactics whilst also even building his business. So after following him for the last few years, I invested $5,000 into a workshop, which I applied for on their website. It wasn't much of an application. It was pretty much checking that your business is earning more than $250,000 a year and allowing you to come down and spend time with the team. On that workshop, there was an upsell where they said, well, you can work with us for even more support for a 4-day event later in the year, which is another $15,000. So then I opted in for that event. But later that night, they had a bit of a cocktail mixer after the event, and I spoke with Alex one-on-one, and I showed him my entire business, and he worked out and said, you're going to change this is what you're going to do. Later that day, they called me and said, hey, do you want to invest another $50,000 to work with Alex one-on-one? And that would be more of an intimate setting where he's going to work with a small group, but also have one-on-one conversations with you, working and tackling all the problems in your business. Now, because that half an hour conversation that I literally had was so impactful, I thought, great, I'll opt in for that too. Now, whilst that conversation is set up for the next few months, which I can keep you updated, off the back of our first conversation, I've changed my entire business. So let's go over everything in 3 different sections. First, we'll cover why my old model wasn't working, what was broken about it, and why it couldn't scale. The second thing, why I was not serving my ideal customer and not using my best skill set. And third, what are my next steps and what am I doing now? And how has his advice changed my business? And what step-by-step takeaways can you take from mine to implement them into yours for free? I've spent all this money, so you don't have to. Now, last year, I was working primarily a fitness audience where I was helping coaches build their business from anyone from 0 to all the way to 30 and 40,000 a month, and I was charging them $5,000 to do so. And we were working out a 90-day plan where we worked with over 200 people. We had an incredible success rate, and I worked with coaches throughout 2023. And what we did was we mainly got them to speak about content, sales, and covering everything with them. But after speaking to a lot of competitors in my space, I realized no one was actually making the money that I wanted to be making. The goal right now is to be able to hit 10 million a year. And when I spoke to a lot of my competitors, none of them were making 10 million. So then you have something called a total addressable market. So you tend to look at, is there enough scope within the UK to be able to serve that market if I was to capture 1%? Now, when I looked at that market and I spoke to my competitors, even the bigger competitors that were doing 3, 4, 500,000 a month had a high amount of ad costs and their profit was very low. And I knew I just didn't want to egotistically just chase a high amount of revenue, but to give away half of my money in ad spend. I spoke to 3 of my competitors and they were spending between 30 to 35% of their revenue in ads for the next month. And that business model seemed so expensive because their operational costs were high as well. And they were both running at 30 to 35% profit margins. My ideal goal was to find a business that I could make 10 million, but ideally have 50% profit margins. So if the EBITDA was so low after everything is paid and everything is done, it's not really going to serve for the business I want to build to allow me to gain the freedom that I want to have. So that was one core problem that I had with the old business model and why I couldn't scale. But what I also did was I realized there was a lot of operational complexity while scaling that business, because you build out a method to serve an online coach, you have a system which was working, which I did. The next step is actually hiring success managers and building a team around you and pushing up your ad spend and getting more leads in, and then having a team deliver on that product. But the model was not as exciting for me because what I found was linking point 2. I was actually doing things for the customer that I didn't truly enjoy. What I was doing was speaking so much about content, which is not my key skill. So I had to go and find people that were great at content because I've never truly seen social media growth. So a part of me felt as though I'm not being totally authentic by helping fitness coaches with their business. So what I did was really simple. I thought, my best clients have seen the results because they needed more support with sales teams and sales tactics, which were the bigger businesses. And every business that I worked with that struggled with lead flow, the only time they were successful is because when the individual was creative and they were really good at content, or we got their ads to convert through an agency. But if it wasn't one of those 2 things, I wasn't able to truly grow and scale their business. So what was happening was I was having a bottleneck. Every time I was working with a client, I wasn't working with my ideal client because I was speaking about things like content. To be honest with you, now I'm making this content, you can see that I'm truly enjoying making YouTube videos, but I don't like speaking to people about their content. It isn't something that I love doing. My core skill is not telling people, hey, you should make your content like this and this is how you go viral, because I've never been viral myself. So it'd be totally inauthentic to be able to say to others, hey, this is how you go viral, this is how you should do it, because I've never done it myself. So the first thing that I did when I pivoted my business was bring in a creative manager. And the creative manager is now able to help a lot of the fitness clients that need focus on their content whilst we pivot away from them. Like, we still have a few fitness clients that we work with that are under the 30-40K mark. And those businesses that we're working with are getting that support from the right person. So I was able to fix that bottleneck because repetition is so important. But the next thing, whilst transitioning out of that industry, was also having a creative manager who can put out all the content that I need to grow my business. Because the YouTube, Instagram, short form, everything takes work, and it goes into a bigger piece where you combine it with your ads and your organic, allowing people who land onto your page through the ad to be able to verify that, hey, this person does what they say. They have client wins, they have testimonial, they have organic content. We believe and trust, and we're willing to invest. So whilst I pivoted my business, which links to number 3, what am I doing now? Well, it's actually working with sales teams, which is what I was kind of doing over the last year, but I was doing it with a broad type of audience, but not truly advertising it for it. So I was working with business owners from Amazon FBA. I was working with businesses that sell high ticket programs. And what I was doing was helping these business owners work out how they can build a sales team and have a sales team perform. And all of those businesses got far better results than the struggling client from 0 to 5K. Now, I will say there are amazing coaches out there, mentors and business coaches that can help the 0 to 5K fitness coach. That's not my core skill. My core skill is building elite level sales teams. And the elite level sales teams that I want to build tend to be from a customer that has a bigger business, a 7 and 8 figure business, because they have multiple sales reps and we can do their training, their systems and their consulting and work out everything for them because we have a proven system, because it's something that I built over 10 years. And which goes back to the conversation that I had with Alex. It was, this is what I'm doing right now, and this is my core experience, and this is what my greatest skill is. And the simple advice that he gave me was, well, you should be targeting people, which is your best skill. And you're able to create a far bigger LTV because you can charge a lot more. He spoke about a gym launch, and he went how on gym launch they had a LTV for over 50K for every client because they had a 40K front end sale. And then often than not, many of them would buy the back end offer. So similar with my business now, we have an offer that we're able to provide sales teams incredible amount of value very fast. So within the first few weeks, we're able to really truly grow their business through actually optimizing their sales process, training their salespeople, which gives us a lot of trust. Because when we do build a lot of trust, we're able to give a back-end offer and say, hey, we also offer these services for your operations and your sales. Because we've built a lot of trust and we delivered on everything that we said, probably times 5 on the investment that they've put in, they're more likely to actually want to invest and work with us on the back-end offer, which increases our LTV, which has already been happening. So by pivoting our business all towards sales, sales teams and sales functionality, that's what we're now doing. And that would have never happened if I had spoken to Alex, because when I spoke to Alex, it was pretty much, how do I get this thing to work? So the main lesson that I want to share with you in this video is, are you actually doing these 2 things? Are you serving the people that you can help the most? And are you finding an audience that's already half convinced? By doing those 2 things, you're going to tend to find that you attract the right people. You work with the right people and they're already half convinced to do so. So that's the main thing that we're doing. We're now acquiring the customers that we can help the most. If you're interested in more sales team tactics and more videos like this, give us a subscribe, like, share, and I'll catch you in the next one.